All right, guys, welcome back to Above Ground World News. That Mimi is just the funniest thing ever. That's off of DLIVE. That's just funny. Anyway, guys, welcome in. Been getting targeted all day with the frequency weapons, but we're still here. They're not going to take us down. Looking at the map here, we're going to get into all kinds of news, put the watches and warnings on here, and it looks like the tornadoes warnings are in effect, just like we called out 2 weeks ago. So they're hitting right on target. I took a quick look in on the mainstream media, how they're going to be covering these storms, and they have not a clue what they're talking about. They're going to have to make up a new name. This is not going to be a tropical cyclone. It's not a tropical anything. It's like a midwestern mesocyclone. But they're going to have to come up with a new name for this storm that they're brewing. On top of it running backwards and all that crazy stuff. Anyway, we'll get into that a little bit deeper here in just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and pause this. We're going to jump into a few news things here. First thing we're going to talk about is news that should be news that nobody's even talking about. I think I may be the only channel that's talked about this. You'd think with all the earthquakes going on in California and abroad, all the volcanic activity, you'd think people would want to know that a portion of the highway up in Minnesota is closed due to a fault line separation. Now, this happened back on June 3rd. Drivers in Yellow Medicine County might hit a bump in the road. See, they make it sound like it's nothing, a bump in the road. Traveling on Highway 67. According to the Minnesota Department of Transportation, a portion of the highway near Granite Falls has been closed after a fault line began to separate. Now, this is the fault line on April 5th. MoDOT reports the crack separated and it's moving about 1 inch per day. Now, I couldn't find this article earlier, and I did a little Google search. There's only 2 articles on this whole situation. But luckily we have people on the ground that can go up and take a look at it. They're not telling us what is causing this. An engineer is testing the ground to learn what causing the road to split. Well, they called it a fault line split. So what is it? Anyway, we had somebody on the ground out here. This is what it looks like let me close these out, just as a couple days ago. So this is some major movement up in Minnesota, but no mainstream's going to let this get out. Like I said, there's only 2 local stations that even covered this. This is a major slippage right here. So pretty weird, man. So what is going on up here in Minnesota? Is it all the weight from the water? I mean, this isn't washed out from water. This sucker is on the move. So pretty crazy. Thanks for taking this photo for us. And keep us up to date. Here's the road closures. So you got to take a 22-minute extra drive to get around this thing. This is no little crack. A 15.4-mile detour. So yeah, that's going on up in Minnesota, but you'd never know about it. They don't talk about it. Now, I went back and I also found what I was trying to look for last night. Now, what we're looking at here, this is the seismograph of the North Korean test. This was the nuclear detonation in North Korea. This is what the seismograph picked up. Here's the Indian nuclear test, May 11, 1998. We see these are like an explosion, and then, you might have a little bit of a bump up there, and it looks nothing like an earthquake. Here's an earthquake. This is the earthquake of April 4th, 1995. Here's another signature of an earthquake in 1989. Here's the signature of the 7.1 magnitude in California. This looks just like a bomb blast. I mean, you can't deny what we're looking at. We would go right back up here. But this is the article I was looking for. And that signature looks strangely enough just like an explosion. Where's the pre-earthquake? So definitely not normal. You know, on top of that, you have all the bees that were doing some crazy stuff. I got them articles back up. There's more. There was another event that happened where the bees were doing the same thing. I got it somewhere in these articles here we'll get into. Now this is a article back from 2018. We could spray cheap chemicals into the air to slow climate change. Should we? They're already doing it. Thanks there, Doug. They've been doing it for years and years and years. But I got a lot of stuff that we're going to get into here, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Now here's a link that I'm going to post in chat and in the description right now, because this is tons of reading material for all the people that don't want to believe that weather modification is going on. This is the Journal of the Weather Modification. The cover images taken from the first 49 years of publication of the Journal of Weather Modification. Older covers are near the top and recent covers are near the bottom. You can get on here. I mean, we're talking tons and tons of weather modification info. Hold on, I got a cough here. Hang on. All right, got muted out. Yeah, I'm fighting this chemtrail cough. Now this article come out of Australia in 2012. Permanent cloud seeding gets green light. A plan to boost the snowfall in South Wales' snowy mountains has passed through the state parliament. The government announced last month that cloud seeding trials had proved successful and that it would seek to make the process permanent. So they resulted a 14% increase in the snowfall. And this is just one aspect of it. This is just for creating the snow using the ice nucleation. So this stuff is going on regardless of what people says. When you look at your Flight 24 apps and all these little $5 apps and stuff, you can see these are not training flight missions. This is a grid pattern. This is for seeding the sky, man. That's what all these are. Here's somebody else sent me this, the source, Federal Aviation Administration. The largest in New England. Both runways can accommodate jets and are used from the Hanscom Air Force Base Defense Research Facility. These are not test flights. These are weather modification flights, and you can just find all this stuff. You just got to do a little digging. Now up in Waldorf, Maryland, they got like tons of rain in 2 hours. This is the flooding in just 2 hours. We keep talking about how these rains are more electric. They're putting out way more rain than they should be, and that's because of what's going on out in the Pacific. It's what's going on right above your skies, and we prove it nightly. We're going to prove it again tonight. Sure seems like Trump administration is suppressing reports of climate change at the USGS. You know what, I'm not even going to get into this article. I'll save this one. I need to read that one a little deeper. Now, we already know people need to start stocking up on food. You need to start growing plants, even if you have to grow them in your house. Make you a little makeshift garden. I mean, I know I've got a garden going, thanks to Radical Ralph out there. Wait till I show you the photos of this garden, of all the seeds you gave us. So I got my garden going. Everybody needs to have a garden. Grow it inside if you have to, in a window. You can stack this stuff. Thanks there, Salty Siren, much love. Canadian vegetable prices rising at a fastest pace in 3 years. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. You know, we can only show this stuff, you know, as much as we can. the science behind Washington's scary flash flood emergency. A storm caused extreme flooding in parts of Washington, D.C., including East Potomac Park, where you could dangle your feet in the water while sitting on the park bench. Don't put your feet in this water. This is some toxic water. This stuff was blowing up out of the manhole covers just like it did in Missouri just a couple days ago. I mean, you're talking, this was some bad flooding. These are the rain bombs. Torrential rainfall crossing D.C. metro area during the AM. Numerous flash flood warnings are in effect. Likely impact normal commuting patterns. So, yeah, man, these are the rain bombs. I did a video on how they made the rain bomb years ago. Here was that article I was going to try to find. This is actually a different article, but this is like the same article that I was talking about that wouldn't pop up from the aviation site. But this is a good article. Orbital Hart weaponry. U.S. Air Force redeploys the X-37B in gross violation of the WMD treaty. Now the thing is, HARP is just one place up in Alaska. I mean, these are ionospheric heaters. And I know the other day I did a show and I was talking about the long range phased array radar. That's actually for the telescope. So that's not a sending array. That's a receiving. So I kind of messed up on that. Hey, I'm not going to read into this thing here. We'll get into that later. Some of these I just don't have time to get into here tonight. And then Ruth sent me this. It's called, what is a catastrophic bond, or a cat bond? Now this is what the big companies, this is what the elites do. They know when these catastrophes are coming. That's how they make the big money. So catastrophe bonds were first issued in the mid-1990s. They have a comprehensive database containing the details of nearly every over 280 catastrophe bond transactions. So that's something we could look into to see who made the money on the catastrophes, such as the Northridge earthquake and Hurricane Andrew. So the catastrophe bond triggers. One of the key elements of the catastrophe bond is the terms under which the securities begin to experience a loss. So they have to meet certain criteria to make this money, but it's a big business. Anyway, we'll leave this link in the description too. We go ahead and copy that and paste that into the description. We'll read a little bit more into there when we got more time. We've already gone over this earthquake. Here's the article on the bees dying, and a pretty disturbing little video here. But this happened in another country, and for some reason I don't think I have that article up. But yeah, a lot of fishy things going on with the earthquake. And one thing we need to look at is, you know, seismic pressure just flows all around the earth, so we should be getting more earthquakes in the Midwest going all the way up into the Northeast. So we'll take a look at that here in just a little bit, and just trying to get through all these. Locusts, Pakistan's crucial cotton crop under threat. This came out 16 hours ago. So this is a 40.5 hectares of land on the frontier of the Sahara Desert. Come running into the farm's main courtyard, blah blah blah, screaming. So they cultivate more than 246,000 hectares of cotton. Isn't this where the My Pillow guy gets his cotton? So 24.7 billion in exports last year. Anyway, this is catastrophic. for just a different part of the farmers. And hey, they're going to spray some Zika virus chemicals on this here. So more kinds of weather modification to kill the bugs. We're going to start seeing that as soon as these flood waters start to recede. They'll be spraying for the Zika virus and all that stuff. Down in Australia, wool production sheep numbers hit 100-year low as widespread drought continues. So here's another attack on the cotton industry, the sheep wool and stuff. So the national sheep flock is forecast to fall to 65.8 million head this year, according to the Livestock Australia, one of the lowest numbers since the 1900s. This is getting really serious, and you take into account all the floods here in the United States, everything going on over in China, United States, Russia. All these people are having big time issues. How about the swine fever in China poses big risk to food markets? We went over just a couple weeks ago about the pig Ebola and the swine flu and all the stuff out there. They're having a mega shortage of pork, and that's one of their main meats out there. This is the African swine fever's impact was still unclear compared to the impact in China and other parts of Asia, such as the army worms, a crop pest that the report said can be largely controlled using pesticides. I mean, this goes on about all the other animals too, just crazy stuff, man. Then you have Australia's coming out with the super flu vaccine. We talked about that like a week ago. They're making the flu vaccine, but they're testing it on the people of the United States. And all at the same time, the flu cases in South Australia is set to hit 20,000. There's been 82 deaths. Do not take the vaccine, especially the super vaccine. So these guys are making the vaccine, but it apparently is not working in their own country. They also have hundreds flee as fire engulfs Queensland campsite. These are targeted attacks down here in Australia, Tasmania, Australia, just like the Paradise Fires, just like what's going on up in Canada, up in Alaska, up in Russia. These are attacks. So yesterday we couldn't find any of these ship tracks to see how far this thing isn't loaded very good. Now check this out. So yesterday all the weather modification ships that were pushing out the bunker fuel was over by the Kamchatka Peninsula. Hold on, I got a cough again. All right, well, the ships are no longer out here off the I mean, there is a few. You know, we had hundreds of them out there now, but guess where they're at now? Check this out. They're back out under the Aleutian Island chain. Look, they're back out here. They're targeting the high pressures and low pressure systems. Look at all the fire smoke going on up in Alaska. Major fires. These were all induced by the aerosols being deployed. There was accelerants sprayed on this. They're melting everything they can up here. They're going to put that railway in. Remember, that railway goes in 5 miles into Alaska and then 5 miles into Russia before it pops out. They're clearing the way. I mean, you got some mass bunker fuel operations right here. This is the bunker fuel is like the leftovers of refining gas. It's the most toxic emissions on the planet. You know, most cruise liner ships put out 1 million cars worth of emissions in one day. Now just imagine what these weather modification ships are putting out. I mean, this is crazy. You could try checking these out on the ship tracker. Most of them you're not going to find on there. They're just like the weather modification plans. You can find them few and far between. So I didn't get to load this map a whole lot. I've been getting hit by frequencies all day. I've had a migraine since 4 o'clock this morning and still have it. I've been trying to eat the almonds. Usually that helps, but no. It's been following me no matter where I'm at today. They're clobbering us. So out there, if anybody wants to let me know what state you're in and if you're being sprayed, because they're getting really hard to see here lately. We can definitely see the aerosols being deployed from the ships, and we can see just a few liners in here. We got a lot of the smoke blocking the. Here's a big fat liner right here going from Indianapolis down to Louisville, Dayton. Thanks out there, Kelly. Indiana's getting hit. Stream is sucking. Yeah, they're also targeting my internet, man. Yeah, I do some grounding. Ohio's being sprayed. Michigan's being sprayed. Florida, South Florida, North Carolina, Colorado bombarded. Mojave Desert, California, Northeast Ohio, Iowa, Georgia, Wisconsin. Yeah, so Michigan, Alabama, Louisiana, Las Vegas. So yeah, so Eric, thanks for all that input. I mean, we could zoom in here and they're not like, usually they stand out really good, and it could be that I notice sometimes they delay the pictures because they know when these spraying operations are going on. I mean, we'll be able to see them on the RAM slider. And here's the spraying operation there in Arizona. You just got to kind of click the layers. There's some up in Iowa, Nebraska, North Missouri. I know we were getting sprayed, but see, they're not really showing up. They're showing you the fair weather clouds. These are supposed to be normal clouds, but they're being hit with the frequencies. I can feel it. It's kicking my ass right now. Texas, Oklahoma. All right, let's get into this storm that they're going to conjure up. Now, somebody emailed me saying that I was stating that these were in millimeters and not inches, but that's not quite true. When you're over here at the total amounts, we are definitely in inches, but when you go to regular precipitation, it does show millimeters. And that's why I use the different maps here. See, when you're over here, it's millimeters per hour and not the inches per hour. I know I might have stated that different, but yeah, just trying to show that when I use the total precipitable amounts, this is inches. And we see we're well over the 2 feet mark. Now, of course, this is over the 16 days, but we know these rainstorms are putting out inches in an hour, 3-4 inches per hour. So this is going to be mega. And I noticed it's pretty weird, man. I know they watch our forecast, and they always try to compensate, man. And what's weird is they changed the models. They flipped the model, because if you remember last night in the 16-day forecast, this is the Canadian model. This is the exact model of the GFS. Now look, when I go to the GFS model, it's showing what the Canadian model. It's like they're screwing with me. But you know what's funny is no matter what they change over the next few days, it's not going to change. It's going to be what the weather plan is. It's not going to change at all. They can keep moving this stuff around, but I know for a fact, because we've been doing this for almost a year now, and these things have been on target. This is the actual weather plan. And like I said, we warned, you know, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and then all the way up the East Coast. So yeah, we got some major flooding getting ready to happen. You see what that one little storm did up in Washington. So oh yeah, we're gonna go check the severe weather. Yeah, and they're definitely conjured up storms, man. Nothing is normal anymore. You know what got me into this stuff besides always getting headaches. It took me years to find out what was giving me the headaches and the migraines. But I used to do astrophotography. If you go on my Facebook page, you can see some of the pictures I took living right there in Independence, Missouri, right there in the light polluted area. Well, now I'm out in a completely dark sky, but I haven't had no time to do any of that stuff. I used to do it live over on Ustream back in like 2012, 2014. And there's no time. Once you find out the truth of what's going on in the skies, you got to do something about it. So anyway, I got this gonna loop here. We're gonna see where the tornado warnings were today. Yeah, up there in Wyoming, Montana, and then here we go, coming out of Colorado into Nebraska. It could have been parts of Kansas there. You know, tornado season is never over. Not anymore. Not when they're running amok with these. I told you there's going to be tornadoes in Canada. Look, they're right here at the border. So we had tornado warnings up in North Dakota going into Canada. And we said that 2 weeks ago. Look, here they are. They're happening right now. It's the weather plan, man. This stuff is all developed by Raytheon. And then the lying sock puppet media, they are the ones that just put their spin on it. They know what's going on. Look at all the flood warnings still happening. This is the year of the flood, year of the severe weather. This is like the geostorm coming to life. All the storms are running backwards. It's because they had the jet stream completely manipulated away from the central U.S. There is no big troughs, and if you listen to the mainstream, man, they're just cockamamie crap. You know, they try to use different terms when we can all look and see that this stuff, all you got to do is use common sense and a little bit of research, and you can see what is actually going on, what is really going on. We're seeing a bunch of pulses coming off these radars. You know, they want to say these are birds and bugs. If you're new to this channel, if you've never seen the Birdman, let me see if I got that video queued up. This is pretty hilarious. I don't know if this is it. Give me a second to see. I'm going to have to show you something here.
Interesting, near the center of Hurricane Hermine, right before it made landfall Thursday evening in Florida. You know what you're seeing there in the middle of the eye here? This is the eye of the storm where it's pretty quiet, so you wouldn't expect there's going to be any rain there. This is actually birds. Yeah, birds actually showed up in the middle of this hurricane, as they often do. We saw this with Hurricane Arthur a couple years ago. This is a product that shows you how similarly shaped everything is, where you see the red colors, you got a lot of similar things flying around like rain. All this blue stuff here is, you know, a mixture of birds, maybe some feathers flying around. This product shows you what shape things are, okay? And basically when you see these kind of higher colors here, like the purples and the whites, that's when things are more hamburger shaped rather than, you know, vertically shaped. So think about how birds fly, right? So they're they would appear more hamburger shaped to the radar. That's why they're showing up like that in there. Very, very interesting stuff.
When we have these earthquakes is the birds. We can see this radar. So what I want to do here, I'm showing you radar here for the last couple of hours. See how it's quiet? This was before the earthquake. Watch behind me as all of a sudden you start to see all of that. What that actually is the birds taking flight as that earthquake came through. So I'm going to reverse it.
All right, guys, according to our meteorologists, we are being invaded by birds. There's birds flying out from every city across the United States. These are by your professional meteorologists telling us that these are birds taking off. Now we had a montage. I don't know where my other montage went, but now they're calling them ladybugs and bats and butterflies. You name it. They make up anything they want for it. And it's just like people believe that crap, man. There's no birds in the eye of a hurricane. So there was just a random flock of birds out in the middle of the ocean, and they got sucked into the center of the hurricane. Complete BS. You're going to notice our military radars are not going off over here in California anymore. Why is that? Well, it's because they don't want it to rain here anymore. If you look at the cloud formations over here, there's clouds everywhere. I don't see the water generations going off down here in Texas. We're not catching as many of the spikes. Now we will start seeing them once they keep on conjuring up the storm that's running the opposite way. And I don't know what the heck that was down there. We're going to have to zoom in on that. We do have some funny business going on right there at the border of California, Arizona, and New Mexico. Let's jump into that. Let's get that. Let me open that up to where we can zoom in on it, because something was not right about that. I just seen that. So let me bring this up. Nice crowd out there. Much love. Big crowd last night. Was crazy. Alright, so let me get this where I just seen that crazy anomaly down here. Now we've caught the chaff on here, military chaff, the military chemtrails. Let me go ahead and load this up, see if this was the right radar. What is today? Monday. Tomorrow night I'm going to try to cover, usually I try to cover, the whole planet on the chemtrails. Like tomorrow night we'll try to get into some of the overseas stuff. Oh, we do got a little beam shooting out of there, but that's not staying on constantly. But I'm waiting for is this weird flume, and it may not be in this radar view. Yeah, it's just out of view. What we're looking at here, these are like wind farms or solar farms. All right, let me see if I can try to use this one to get down on this. Probably right in there. It's going to be going right over Mexico. One thing I'm not seeing today is the aerosols being deployed over the Bajas. Usually that's where they're pulling up. Part of the atmospheric river is right over here, and that's why this is always heavily being sprayed. And you'll notice when the ship tracks are out there, when they're spraying the bunker fuel, these chemtrails stop for some reason. Yeah, look at that. That's a crazy beam right there. So there's some military radars right here that we're not picking up. They're definitely shooting some microwaves down towards the equator. Or it could possibly be coming up from the ionospheric heaters or the scatter radars down there in Peru. Yeah, that is not normal. All of them are pointing south. Let me go see what's going on in the south here. Let me put this on. Just put it on the rain precipitation. Just kind of take a look down here. What are they pointing at? I need to expand this out. Got to get a better picture, and then we might be able to spot what they're targeting. And we also have the Sahara dust coming in, and that's going to definitely play a factor on these storms. It could possibly overseed the storms, but I think we're still going to be sticking with the heavy amounts of rain, and could possibly turn into not a cyclone, not a hurricane, a Midwest cane, because the pressure is actually coming out of the Midwest. It's not coming out from the tropics or the subtropics. It's not a normal storm whatsoever. So let me just kind of go through this forward here. I can zoom this in a little bit so we can see it a little better. One more. Yeah, that'll work. Look at this huge high pressure out here. The jet stream's all messed up. That's why this high pressure should start collapsing, and that's what's going to help make this low pressure run backwards. The ship track operations are right here, or actually they're right above this low pressure. They're right there in the Aleutian Island chain. Let me fast forward this. Wow, that's weird. Look, a high pressure develops. This is the same part of that high pressure, which usually means no rain, fair weather clouds, but now what it means is filtered sun. When your meteorologist tells you it's filtered sun, go outside and look. That means they're bombarding your skies. Filtered sun, high cirrus clouds, that's all a code word for chemtrails. So I'm not really seeing what they're targeting unless I'm just not far down far enough. So look, they may try to spin up a freak zombie cyclone here. Look at that one, showing it right on the same path as we did on the 16-day forecast. So it's not going to change regardless of what the local meteorologists tell you. It's going to stick to the weather plan. It has been for months and months and months, and it will continue to. Alright, so what I want to do here, let's put this on the base velocity loop. We know this is the right radar. Hey, thanks out there, Bamboo. Much love out there. And this will show us the incoming and outgoing. Oh, wow, look, they added the purple. I'll be damned, they added the purple. The purple is the signs of the microwaves, and it wasn't on there, but now it's on there. See how that works? When we keep pushing the subject, they make changes. Sometimes I think that we can make them affect the weather patterns. So yeah, they're definitely pushing out some definite millimeter waves, microwaves, radio frequencies, depending on what they're trying to do with that. Oh, I did get a letter in the P.O. box about the some of the farmers, and I forgot to bring the letter up here upstairs. And thanks for sending that to me. And see, these are the microwave pulse rings. Look, it's only pulsing to the south. That's why we're picking that purple up. They don't have the purple on this map yet. Look at that radar doing some psychedelic stuff. But the letter she sent me, they work for FEMA. Her and her friend actually work for FEMA, and they said that they're building some homes for them to stay in. They're staying in like hotels, and it takes about 4 months to build these houses. I'll bring that letter up for tomorrow night. I'll read that letter, and we'll get into what it says. You know, she was saying that she was there to help at first, and now things are getting funky. So we will definitely read that. So yeah, definitely crazy stuff going on with this radar. You know, we've seen these radars totally create vortexes. Look at all the energy it's pulling in to the radar right there. I mean, it's just sucking in like inflow. And when we go to look, let me get this where we can see there's probably no moisture or anything there. We'll see here. I'm still not on the right map. Let me get back up to the there we go. This will help. Yeah, this is the map where it shows the millimeters, but yeah, the total amounts of moisture will be in the inches. So look, they're targeting this low pressure system. So where's, oh no, wait, I gotta back it up. Sorry about that. Oh, you know what they're targeting? They're targeting that storm right there, the hurricane. It looks like they are going to kill it off. Maybe, let me see. Let me keep fast forwarding here. Oh, I got to unzoom. That's why we're having a problem here. So let me fast forward that. Where did our hurricane go? Where'd the hurricane go that was down there off the coast of Mexico? They must have just blew it apart. Look at that. Hold on, where was that? Look, right there where they're shooting down, you got like a long skinny line of a rain signature. Where's this stupid hurricane at? It's not there. All right, hold on. We got to go look at the tropical cyclone page. It's gone. It's not going to be a hurricane now. That is pretty crazy. So we just caught what they were targeting. They know that that hurricane would have pushed up, and it would have pushed the pressures on over. It would have pushed the high pressure out. They can't have a hurricane over here when they're trying to conjure up the storm in the Gulf of Mexico. Let's take a look at the mimic while we're here. So there was our spin up of the hurricane. Look, it just disintegrates. That was going to be a full-fledged hurricane, and now it's not. We know the shipping operations are right here under the Aleutian Island chain. Look, they're pushing. What are these three things right here? They're pushing the water vapor down. And look, the atmospheric river is running backwards. Everything is running backwards with this system. I wonder if they have the Arecibo working on this system, and maybe even the one in Peru. We kind of zoom in on this. I need to look at this just a little bit better here. Hey, thanks there, Robert. And if I missed anybody out there, much love out there. Bill, thanks, much love, brother. So what is this? Look at that. They burnt like 3 holes in the water vapor. And then you got one that's not even registering. This was hit with something. I could almost see the ship tracks right here. But yeah, look. Somehow they heated this up with one of the weather modification tools in the toolbox. They also destroyed the hurricane that should have developed. And look, they're blocking that moisture from coming up. Look at that, it's just in a straight line. They're stopping it. Yeah, that's very interesting right there, that they're blowing holes in the river of the sky. Was there any kind of rockets launched today, you know, like satellite launches that could have blew a hole in that? We can see the atmospheric river is being pulled backwards all the way up here from Boston. It's being pulled back down. Look, this whole flow should be curling clockwise up and out of here. But you got a big hunk of it being pulled down. None of that makes any sense whatsoever. Here's our spinning action. And when I was watching that little mainstream thing for a minute, they were calling this a seedling. You know, what do you mean by that? A little seedling of pressure. Alright, sorry, I had a cough again. Now, I have been sanding a bunch of sheetrock and texturing when I get off work, so that might be why I got this, part of the reason I got this chest crap too. I've been breathing a bunch of dust, so. Alright, I think I got this documented pretty good. Alright, yeah, we'll definitely keep watching this map here. So we're on the Canadian model. So remember, the Canadian model took this thing going right up the East Coast. And now look at it. It's doing the same as the GFS. I think they're screwing with this. Wow, that is up in the purples. Look at this, guys. It's up in the purples. So on this map, you could call this 24 millimeters of rain in 6 hours. So I'll try to make sure I get that right, because I got to remember this map's in the millimeters, and then the total precipitation is in the inches. This is going to be a bad storm, man. Super bad. Let's go ahead and put it on the GFS, see if what they changed it to. But regardless, we'll go back in 2 weeks from now, and it'll be just like what we showed on the 16-day forecast. So look, they killed it out. This is showing nothing. So the GFS model, I guess it's kind of, yeah, they're messing with this, man. There's nothing to push that down like that. Okay. I'm still sticking to the 16-day forecast. It'll be right. We're going to have flooding all across the east coast, south. Let's go ahead and load this up on the Cirrus and get it back on the continental section and see what we can spot out here. And back again, let me go ahead and show you guys again. The ships are all up here right underneath the Aleutian Island chain. Tons of them. You got a big monster one. Look, it's deploying some stuff so crazy. It's gray. You know, they did a crisscross pattern. How they not wreck the boats? I mean, these guys are not out here. I've had the fishermen, you know, send me emails. They've never seen the ocean warming like it is up here. They said there is no fish biting. No fish. They're not catching any. Look at all the smoke from the fires up here. Holy crap. Look at that burning going on in Alaska. More toxic air. Definitely a strange color of smoke, and you can see some of the chemtrails inside the smoke. There's actually tons of chemtrails. That's not fire suppression. The Yukon, they're burning up. Here's all the smoking from Ontario and Manitoba. All the smoke's getting backed up into the Hudson Bay. This is all coming down. You should have super bad high quality air alerts in Wisconsin, Michigan, even all the way down into Illinois, Detroit, Ohio, parts of New York. Look at these trails up here in Ottawa. Big old fat liners. I wouldn't be surprised if a fire starts right there tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. I'm just trying to take a quick look. I didn't get none of this loaded, so yeah, we'll go ahead and wait on that. Let's go ahead and check the earth null real quick. Go ahead and shut that down. We can take off the watches and warnings now. We'll check back with this in a minute. I know, man, it's pretty disturbing, you know, when you're leading a normal life and then you get awoke to this stuff, man. It completely turns your life upside down. Your family members think you're a nutcase, but you're not, because we have all the proof to back up what we're seeing. The rabbit hole gets very deep, and it's always multi-agented. Everything's for more than one purpose, so we still have this crazy wind pattern right over the equator. You know, here in a few months, the winds are going to go back up to the north. Here in a couple months, you're going to see that. We're going to see how they manipulate that. Let me go ahead and check the jet stream. No jet stream over the United States still. So they bent that trough. This trough was going all the way down almost to the Bajas, and now look at it. It's been crushed back up. Got to remember, this is where these shipping operations are, and our gear drive is gone. We should have 2 gear drives running up here, what I call the gear drives. They're not there. We only got like half of one that looks like an eyeball. That's what the ships are doing. They're affecting this. They probably have the radars like we showed you on the boats up over in the Northeast, all them NEXRAD Dopplers on all the ships there in Maryland. They probably got them on there. Let's go ahead and check the ocean waves. So it looks like New Zealand's okay today. Check the sea surface temperatures. I mean, when you look at it as the sea surface temperatures, everything looks really normal. But then once you hit the anomalies, this is where it gets pretty crazy. So you got a pretty good heat anomaly. They're working by Hawaii. You always have the Fukushima hot spot. But you got really cold water right here at the equator. Starting to develop a little bit of heat there off Baja and in Baja. But look at this. And this kind of makes me wonder. You know, this has been here probably since or before Fukushima, but this kind of makes me wonder if there's some kind of volcanic stuff going on underneath. But look, this is growing. It's growing up towards the Arctic. So some of the hottest heat anomalies on the planet are right here over Alaska, which is very weird. I mean, look how cold the water is here off Africa. I mean, that don't even make sense. What's the temperature here? Minus 5.9 degrees Fahrenheit. What do we got over here in Alaska? Here, let's go right at the tip of Alaska. 10.1 Fahrenheit. 7.9 Fahrenheit. We go back to the sea surface temperature. So up here it's about, we get that on 39 degrees. So the water temperature right here in the north of Alaska is 37 to 39 degrees. And then over where the big hot spot is, we're looking at 52 degrees. Alright, so that's pretty strange stuff right there. Look where the heat is. It's right here in the Gulf of Mexico, where they're going to fabricate these crazy rain bombs. Aliso Canyon looks like it's still leaking. The East Coast is just totally disgusting air at the surface. Is carbon dioxide. Check the carbon dioxide. This is all these surface levels. Actually, the East Coast has gone way down. Probably that rain washed away a lot of that. Still pretty high in the fire zone up in Alaska, and it's still high here in California, down there where bamboo is. And here's the sulfur dioxide. This is what's coming. This is what a lot of the bunker fuel is. That's why we're seeing these straight lines. Hey, thanks there, Rosemary. Much love. These are the shipping tracks. These are the shipping lanes. These are what the cargo boats are dropping out. You know, they're leaving their signature from the traffic. This is making the storms more electrified, more toxic, and they can't even hide it. It's everywhere. Let's go ahead and check that dust storm coming in. So here it is. It's getting close to the islands. This is going to play a factor. You know, if this was a hurricane, this dust would kill that hurricane out, but I don't think it's going to get there in time. Let's see if we can fast forward it. So So it's going to kind of go right up through the Leeward Islands. Oh, that's all the farther we can go. So it's going to be kind of a race to see if this dust can even help seed that thing more. But like I said, if you get too much dust, it could slow the storm down because it'll have too many particulates in the air. Hopefully it washes this crap down here in the Gulf of Mexico or something. Hey, thanks there, Butterfly. All right, here we are looking at the PM 2.5s. These are classified as a carcinogen. You can look it up there on Wikipedia. Even though not all of Wikipedia stuff is right, but as far as YouTube, you have to use Wikipedia, or they put the stupid disclaimer videos under your video. Here's the really toxic PM1s. These are the smallest. The air up in Alaska is horrible. I'm sure Cindy out there can verify that. Air up in Canada is just completely toxic. You know, this is a volcano right here. This isn't a fire. That's a volcano. That's what's coming out of the volcano. And you look at these fires. Really bad. This is why we're all having a hard time breathing right now. This is why we have, you know, tons of mucus and all that crowd. Check the PM10s. These are the biggest of the microns. Like, I don't even think you can buy a mask for them PM1s. They're so minute, they go right into the bloodstream, right into the brain, right into the lungs. All right, so there we go. We'll go ahead and play this real quick here. Let me go ahead and enhance the screen a little bit. So all these storms are like running backwards. They're all going backwards. Look, everything's going from east to west. That's not normal. That's because it's being pulled. We can see all the bunker fuel up over Washington, Oregon, all that real. Look at that chemtrail coming in. Wow. Didn't see that on the world view. So you got the fire smoke, looks like the bunker fuel. That's how bad it is. That's how bad the bunker fuel is. Let's go ahead and go take a look over here. That was a mega chemtrail right there. All right, so if I can just pause it right here. All this stuff right here that looks like fog, that is the bunker fuel. Then we're going to start seeing these aerosols being deployed well higher above. This is high altitude spraying operations. And you can see they're targeting certain areas. Definitely not water vapor. Look at that. Super patterns. Look, they just keep hitting that same area. This is going to help spark some storms right here. This is cloud seeding without a doubt right there. Northern California are getting blasted. They're also setting up for the fires. These are multi-agenda operations. They're laying down the accelerants on the forest while also cloud seeding. Anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and call this a show. Much love out there. Everybody be safe. God bless. No fear, man. We have the light on our side. All you got to do is armor up. Talk to the one that is looking over you. Anyway, guys, much love. Here we go. Thanks, everybody, for sharing this stuff out. Trying to help grow this information. Get the information out. Anyway, guys, much love. Be safe out there. Turn it up. We're gonna hit some rock and roll. We're gonna hit a song called Rise, then we're gonna hit a song called Demise, or Pride Before You Fall, and then I can't remember. I'll put them in there one of these days. I'll put them on there when they play it, so if you guys want to look them up. Anyway, guys, much love out there. Here we go. Crank it up. Let's rise.